Krishna consciousness to a person like Hiranyakashipu who are interested in money and women. The word Hiranya means gold and Kashipu means refers to cushions or good bedding. Moreover, a father does not like to be instructed by his son, especially if the father is a demon. Prahlad Maharaj's Vaishnava preaching to his demoniac father was indirectly effective. For because of Hiranyakashipu's excessive jealousy of Krishna and his devotee, he was inviting Narasimha Dev to come and kill him very quickly. Thus, he was expediting his being killed by the Lord himself. Although Hiranyakashipu was a demon, he is described here by the added word. Why? The answer is that fortunately, he had such a great devotee son as Prahlad Maharaj. Thus, although he was a demon, he would attain salvation and return home back to Godhead. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tafpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvatamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namine Harijana Gana Bari Jnana Karmandahari Prakritita Parabhaktir Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi विनय निकर लक्ष्मी निम्न मेदय गम्यो भुवि जयति विकासो भक्ति पूर्वो यतीन्द्र नम ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णुं ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नृसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्योर्मृत्युं नमाम्यहं श्री नरसिंहा जय जय नरसिंहा प्रहलादेश जय पद्मा मुख पद्मा भृंगा ओम नमो भगवते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते जसे आविर्भव वज्रनख वज्रदंष्ट्रकर्मा शयन रंधे रंधे तमो ग्रस ग्रस ओम स्वाहा अभयम अभयम आत्मनि भूयिष्ठा ओम श्रोम ओम नमो भगवते तुभ्यं पुरुषाय महात्मने हरे अद्भुत सिंहाय ब्रह्मणे परमात्मने पागीशायस्य वदने लक्ष्मीर्यस्य च वक्षसि यस्यास्य हृदये संवेतं नृसिंहमहं भजे प्रह्लाद हृदयह्लादं भक्ताविद्याविदारणं शरदिन्दुरुचिं वन्दे पारेन्द्रवदनं हरिं यदि दास्यसि मे कामान् वरांस्त्वं वरदर्शव कामानां हृदय संरोहं भवतस्तु विनेवरम् उग्रोप्यनुग्र एवायं स्वभक्तानां ऋकेशरी केशरी वसपोतानाम् अन्येषामुग्रविक्रमः विदीक्षु दीक्षुरसमन्तादन्तर्बहिर्भगवान् नारसिंहः प्रहापयल्लोकभयं स्वनेन स्वतेजसा गस्य समस्ततेजाः सत्यं विधातुं निजभृत्य भाषितं व्याप्तिं च भूतेष्वखिलेषु चात्मनः अदृष्टतात्यद्भुतरूपमुद्वहन् स्तम्भे सभायां नमिगं नमानुषं गर्गन्तं गर्जयन्तं निजभुजपतलं स्फोटयन्तं हतन्तं रूप्यन्तं तापयन्तं दिवि भुवि द्युतिजं क्षेपयन्तं क्षिपन्तं खन्दं तं रोषयन्तं दिशि दिशि सततं संहरन्तं भरन्तं वीक्षन्तं घूर्णयन्तं कर्णिकरशतैर्दिव्यसिंहं नमामि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं यस्य देवे परा भक्तिर्यथा देवे तथा गुरौ तस्य ते कथिता ह्याता प्रकाशन्ते महात्मनः So I was thinking I can read a few verses before this and a few verses after this, and I'll do that. I'll do that in a short while if time permits. But we can see over here that Hiranyakashipu is getting extremely fried out with Prahlad Maharaj because Prahlad Maharaj is asking him to control his senses. To Hiranyakashipu, in his mind, there is nobody in the three worlds who's better at controlling the senses than him. He proved it. Right? He proved it. Nobody performed the kind of austerities that Hiranyakashipu would ever perform. And there's only one person who in the future would perform the same austerities Hiranyakashipu performed. Does anyone know who that is? That's right. That's right. Kalanemi. Kalanemi. Who was he in his next life? Kamsa. Kalanemi performed the exact same austerities Hiranyakashipu performed, actually. So Hiranyakashipu is thinking there's nobody better than me in controlling the senses. And that's true in one sense, right? Nobody performed that kind of austerities. No devotee even performed the kind of austerities that Hiranyakashipu performed. So Prahlad Maharaj is telling him, my dear father, you must learn to control your senses. What is wrong with you? You are so lusty, your mind is uncontrolled, you cannot discriminate between friends and enemies like this, the way you're doing it is very bad. You must learn to control your senses, retire all this, and go to Vrindavan and worship Radha and Krishna. So Hiranyakashipu is not a fan of good instruction. And we can see Hiranyakashipu in a few verses before this, he says, my son Prahlad, you rascal, you know that when I am angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you? Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear, so Hiranyakashipu, by asking this question, he indirectly admits his defeat. Because he is seeing that he became so powerful after performing so many penances. He didn't perform tapo divyam. He didn't perform tapo divyam. He performed tapa, no doubt. But it wasn't divine austerity. It was an austerity meant to enhance his material life. But we are advised to not perform such austerity, actually. We are advised to perform tapo divyam, divine austerity, meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the advice that we receive. Tapo divyam putrakena satmat shuddhyet yasmat brahma sokyam tvam anantam. Right? We are advised to perform such an austerity because this austerity will free us from the cycle of repeated birth and death. But Hiranyakashipu is saying, Prahlad, you're only 5 years old. You didn't go and perform any austerities. You didn't worship me. I didn't give you a boon for you to become so powerful. So how is it that you are so powerful? Where are you getting your strength of power from? And by asking this question, he is indirectly admitting defeat. Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear king, the source of my strength of which you are asking is also the source of yours. Indeed, the original source of all kinds of strength is one. He is not only your strength or mine, but the only strength of everyone. Where does Krishna say that in the Bhagavad Gita? That he is the strength of the strong? No. Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. Interesting point about kamosmi bharatarshava. Okay, I'll say this one thing. And I wouldn't have quoted this if I didn't hear it from my own spiritual master. But it seems really far out. So once a devotee was asking Maharaj also this question, that how is it that Hiranyakashipu performed austerities for thousands of years, and when he came back, Prahlad was only 5 years old? He would have had to have Prahlad before he left, right? And then if that were the case, Prahlad would have been 999 or 999 years old by the time Hiranyakashipu came into the picture. But how is it that Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old when he came? So His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj was saying in a lecture that what had happened when Hiranyakashipu was performing his austerities, what had happened was Narada Muni and Parvata Muni had taken the form of two chirping birds, and they went around the place where Hiranyakashipu was performing his austerities, and they sat there and they were chanting Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. These birds were singing Om Namo Narayanaya Kirtan while Hiranyakashipu was performing his austerities. So hearing this, it completely disturbed Hiranyakashipu's austerities. And then he took a bow and arrow and killed one of the birds. So then he was so fried out, he decided to take a break and he went home to Kayadu. And while they were engaging in conjugal relationship, he was telling to her about this pastime. And while he was about to impregnate her with his seed, he thought of Lord Narayana. So the whole time he was engaging in this affair of bringing Prahalada into this world, he was thinking of this pastime, of this bird chanting Om Namo Narayanaya. Therefore, at the time of impregnating his wife, he had thought of Narayana. Therefore, his son was a Mahabhagavad devotee. And how do we understand this? One thing Maharaj was saying is that in prison also, when the prisoner, they're going through whatever they're going through their prison sentence, but they're given some conjugal time with their wife. They're allowed to talk to them over the phone. I guess some places they may be allowed to associate with them more or something like this. So similarly, such a thing happened to Hiranyakashipu, and he went and finished up his last 5 years of austerity. So that's one point. So that's how Hiranyakashipu had performed devotional service. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. He had performed devotional service by giving birth to Prahlad Maharaj. His whole act of that the conjugal relationship that he had with his wife was nothing but an act of devotional service. Because of the mercy of Narada Muni and Parvata Muni, he was thinking of Lord Narayana. He had heard them chant the holy names of the Lord so much that it completely took over his mind. So much so to the degree that when they were engaging in that affair, he had given his seed had given birth to Prahlad Maharaj. So that's an amazing point. I never knew that, man. So we see over here, Prahlad Maharaj is also telling him, he is not only our strength of mind, but the only strength of everyone. Without him, no one can get strength. Balam balavatam chaham. Whether moving or non-moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he goes on to preach to Hiranyakashipu. He said, Prahlad Maharaj continued, my dear father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. And make your mind equiposed towards everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. When one sees on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshipping the Lord perfectly. In former times, there were many fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies that steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud, thinking I have conquered all enemies in all the 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipoised towards all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are imagined by ignorance. And then comes today's verse that we read. So in this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes a very amazing statement in, this is in, is quoted in the Rays of the Harmonist, issue number 22. So in this, Hiranyakashipu makes Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes a very amazing point. He says that lust is included in anger. Lust and anger are both included in greed. Lust, anger, and greed are within delusion. And lust, anger, greed, and delusion are found within pride. But envy, Matsarya, is the combination of all of the 5 obstacles: lust, anger, greed, delusion, and all kinds of pride. So you can see, lust is included in? No. Anger. Lust and anger are included in? Lust, anger, and greed are included in? Lust, anger, greed, and delusion are included in? Pride. Hey, don't worry. Prasadam is coming soon. Pride. And then all these five are included in envy. And we can see that this is the root. Okay, so why do we fall in this material world? What's the cause of it? What's the verse for that? Section Vishnu Chitta Prabhu. Ichha Dvesha Samatena. That's also there, right? What were you saying, Prabhu? Krishna Bahirmukha Hoya Bhoga Vancha Kare Nikata Samaya Tare. Japati. Nice slap from Maya. But Krishna explains to us also in the Bhagavad Gita, Ichha Dvesha Samuttena Dvandva Mohina Bharata Sarvabhutani Sammoham Sargayati Paranta. This this causes this, then also envy. Envy. Can anyone think of a verse where Krishna speaks of envy? Charodeshan Prabhu. Yetve tadabhyasuyanto nanu tishtanti me matam Viddhinashtan achetasaha. Then Krishna says, those who out of envy do not follow Krishna's rules and injunctions. Everything is destroyed for them. Sarva Jnana Vimudamstan. Everything is destroyed. Sarva Jnana is destroyed. Vimuda is a big fool. Viddhinashtan achetasaha. Everything is destroyed for him. He can never attain peace or happiness in this world, actually. So we see that Hiranyakashipu, the bottom line truth is he's envious of Vishnu, right? And he came up with many, many reasons as why he should be envious of Vishnu. He said, now this is our family tradition to be envious of Vishnu. Why was he envious of Vishnu? Because Vishnu did what? Killed his brother. Vishnu killed his brother. And another thing also, Vamana Dev says something very interesting about Hiranyakashipu. Right? Do you remember what Vamana says about Hiranyakashipu? While he's trying to milk Bali Maharaj for the donation of the three worlds. He's a really good fundraiser, Vamana. He can just get you the whole world. Now, anyone remembers what he says? Bali Maharaj, sorry, Vamana begs charity from Bali Maharaj. Okay, I'll read out this verse, these verses. It's very amazing. So he says, it was in your dynasty that Hiranyaksha was born. Carrying only his own club, he wandered the globe alone and without assistance to conquer all directions. No hero he met could rival him. And then he speaks about how the Lord killed him and he thought himself very victorious. And then he says, when Hiranyakashipu heard the news of his brothers being killed with great anger, he went to the residence of Vishnu, the killer of his brother, wanting to kill Lord Vishnu. Now look at this. The Vamana Dev is saying this, okay? Seeing Hiranyakashipu coming forward bearing a trident in hand like personified death, Lord Vishnu, the best of all mystics and the knower of the progress of time, thought as follows. He's telling what he thought. Wheresoever I go, Hiranyakashipu will follow me as death follows all living entities. Therefore, it is better for me to enter the core of his heart, for then, because of his power to only see externally, he will not see me. Right? Hiranyakashipu had the power to only see externally. He had conquered all the demigods. He had conquered everyone. He had become so powerful that even when the rishis would try to curse him, his prowess would counteract that curse. That's heavy duty, right? Even the rishis could not curse him. Indra's thunderbolt felt like a fly. That's pretty far out. The thunderbolt of Indra can like completely reduce mountains to like smithereens, like fine sand. Right? Indra's thunderbolt. But his thunderbolt on Hiranyakashipu felt like a fly. You should understand how powerful this person is. And then understand how powerful are the nails of Narasimha. Right? We can understand them. Right? So he's only able to see externally. And then Lord Vamana goes on to say, O king of the demons, after Lord Vishnu made this decision, he entered the body of his enemy, Hiranyakashipu, who was running after him with great force. In a subtle body, inconceivable to Hiranyakashipu, Lord Vishnu, who was in great anxiety, entered Hiranyakashipu's nostril along with his breath. Right? So now what was he in anxiety about? What was Lord Vishnu in anxiety about? Right? He says over here, right? Hiranyakashipu, in a subtle body inconceivable to Hiranyakashipu, Lord Vishnu was in great anxiety. Who was in great anxiety? He entered Hiranyakashipu's nostril along with his breath. What was he in anxiety about? Hiranyakashipu. Right. Lord Vishnu. What was Lord Vishnu in anxiety about? Huh? No, actually, he didn't start harassing Prahlad at that point. Right? Hiranyakashipu, this is way before Prahlad, right? Hiranyaksha dies and then Hiranyakashipu gets fried out. No. Was he scared of Hiranyakashipu? No, right? At least say that we should say, no, he wasn't. So, Srila Prabhupada explains to us the Supreme Personality of Godhead is already in the core of everyone's heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati. Logically, therefore, it was not at all difficult for Lord Vishnu to enter Hiranyakashipu's body. The word Vivigna Chetaha, very anxious, is significant. It is not that Lord Vishnu was afraid of Hiranyakashipu, rather because of his compassion. Lord Vishnu was in anxiety about how to act for his wealth. That is his anxiety. Sort of anxiety Lord Vishnu entered. Oh, how can I act for his welfare? Sometimes you see people are so far gone, but still, devotees are very compassionate. They say that how can I behave? How can I act in such a way for the welfare of this person? Upon seeing that the residence of Lord Vishnu was vacant, Hiranyakashipu began searching for Lord Vishnu everywhere. Angry at not seeing him, he screamed loudly and searched the entire universe, including the surface of the earth, the higher planetary systems, all directions, and all the caves and the oceans. But Hiranyakashipu, the greatest hero, did not see Vishnu anywhere. So this is the backstory of this whole thing. Why Hiranyakashipu is so fried out. And Lord Vamana is giving us the inside scoop behind Hiranyakashipu's mentality. Right? We get this in the 8th canto. It's amazing. Unable to see him, Hiranyakashipu said, I have searched the entire universe, but I could not find Vishnu, who has killed my brother. Therefore, he must certainly have gone to that place where no one returns. In other words, he must now be dead. Crazy guy. Hiranyakashipu's anger. Now look at this. This is very amazing. Hiranyakashipu's anger against Lord Vishnu persisted until his death. Other people in the bodily concept of life maintain anger only because of false ego and the great influence of ignorance. Right? Prabhupada writes in this purport, Hiranyakashipu, however, maintained his enmity and his anger against Vishnu until the point of death. He never forgot his vengeful attitude toward Vishnu. For having killed his brother Hiranyaksha, others in the bodily concept of life are angry at their enemies, but not at Lord Vishnu. However, this is another phenomenal quality of Hiranyakashipu. It is phenomenal indeed. Hiranyakashipu, however, was everlastingly angry, always angry. He was angry not only because of false prestige, but also because of continuous enmity toward Vishnu. And was this favorable to him or not? Was it favorable? Yes or no? Yes. Are you sure? Who's there? Why? Yeah. Unfavorable. Favorable. Huh? Yeah, is it favorable for Hiranyakashipu? That's the right answer. So this and the pramana for that answer by Mr. Navani Hoda Prabhu is this. No, not this. Sorry, I'll find it. Where did it go? Okay. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text number 27. Yata vairanu bandhena martyastan mayatamiyat na tata bhakti yogena iti me nishita matihi. Narada Muni continued, my devotional service, one cannot achieve such intense absorption in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity toward him. That is my opinion. Hate is a more intense emotion than love. So why are we asking people to love Lord Vishnu and not hate him? Right? Well, the answer is in this purport. Sri Narada Muni, the topmost pure devotee, praises Krishna's enemies like Shishupal because their minds are always absorbed in Krishna. Indeed, he thinks himself deficient in the inspiration of being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. This does not mean, however, that the enemies of Krishna are more elevated than Krishna's pure devotees. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also thinks himself in such a humble way. Jagai madai haite mui se papesha purishe rakite haite mui se lagishta. I am a worse sinner than Jagai and Madai, and I'm even lower than the worms and stool. A pure devotee always thinks himself more deficient than everyone else. If a devotee approaches Srimati Radharani to offer some service to Krishna, even Srimati Radharani thinks that the devotee is greater than she. How can we understand this? That's Narada Muni says that according to his opinion, the enemies of Krishna are better situated because they are fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna in terms of killing him, just as a very lusty man always thinks of women and their association. The essential point is in this connection is that one should be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna 24 hours a day. What verse is this? I'll read it again. Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtananu smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya tishan vajeta dhanaragi chananugami kalam nayada kilamitya padesha saram. So, Narada Muni, by saying this, is indirectly praising the great residents of Vrindavan. This service of the devotees in Vrindavan is indirectly praised by Narada Muni. Especially for the conditioned soul, Narada Muni recommends that one somehow or the other be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, for that will save one from all dangers of material existence. Full absorption in thought of Krishna is the highest platform of Bhakti Yoga. So, Hiranyakashipu actually entered the highest platform of Bhakti Yoga. Do not imitate him. You cannot imitate our acharyas. You can also not imitate the big demons. It's like heavy duty stuff. We can't imitate them. So Hiranyakashipu is fully absorbed in pure hatred of Vishnu. Fully absorbed in this pure hatred of Vishnu. And because he's fully absorbed in this pure hatred of Vishnu, his absorption, his anger kept increasing more and more and more and more. And then, to just make it worse, his darling son became a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu. His darling child, Prahlad, became a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu. And because his son became a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu, his anger had increased so much more. So much more. So much more to the degree that we cannot even conceive of. And we can see that the devotees of Prahlad Maharaj, devotees of Lord Narasimha always play a very important role in our Krishna consciousness movement. So can anyone think of another devotee of Prahlad Maharaj, of Hiranyakashipu, who plays a very important and significant role in the lives of all the devotees? Narasimha. What's wrong with you? A devotee of Narasimha. I'm sorry, Prasad is coming soon. A devotee of Narasimha who plays a very important role in our Krishna consciousness. Sridhar, that's right. Srila Sridhar Swami, right? Srila Sridhar Swami is a devotee who plays an extremely important role in the Krishna consciousness movement. Why? He's the first commentator on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Chaitanya calls him his? That's right. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls him his Swami. So in this regard, Srila Sanatana Goswami compiled a verse glorifying Srila Sridhar Swami. And this verse goes as follows. Shri Bhagavat Nidhyartha Tiksha Drishtir Adhaya Yahi Sridhara Swami Padam Stan Vande Bhakti Ekarakshakan. Especially this point. Vande Bhakti Ekarakshakan. I offer respects to the feet of Srila Sridhar Swami, which protect bhakti, by which an understanding of his commentary revealing the meaning of this treasure of Bhagavatam was given. So Srila Sridhar Swami is someone who is a pure devotee of Lord Narasimha. The Mayavadis, they are very enthusiastic to claim Sridhar Swami to be a Mayavadi because everyone wants to claim a hero, right? That's why my Guru Maharaj was saying, so he would be preaching in India, and so many people would come up to him and tell him, actually, it was me who told your guru to go to America and preach? So many different. Actually, it was me. By the way, actually, it was. Who the hell are you? Actually, it was me. I told him. So and in India, my God, you'll meet so many phenomenal storytellers. They'll just say like all kinds of stories. Like, dude, basically, like worship my feet right now, bro. That's what they basically. That's the conclusion. I told him. So then he wants you to think that it's because of him that you got Prabhupada's mercy. Therefore, you should surrender unto him. That's basically that. That's the point. And that's why my Guru Maharaj doesn't accept this thing in the Leela Amrita that they met some guy in Tompkins Square Park and Prabhupada was sitting on a bench with him. And he said, actually, Prabhupada told him, actually, I have all these things, only time is separating. He must have been Indian in his past life or something like that. This guy who told this story. But, they say all kinds of amazing stories, right? So the Mayavadis have to be like the biggest bogus rascals of them all. So they like to claim Srila Sridhar Swami to be a Mayavadi. It's phenomenal. He may have taken sannyas from the Mayavad Sampradaya, but sannyas can be given by anyone in any Sampradaya. Sannyas is sannyas. It's not that, just because you got sannyas from Mayavadi sannyas, you yourself are a Mayavadi. No, that's not the case. Right? We see that, yes, who gave Srila Prabhupada sannyas? Come on, guys. Bhakti Pragyan Keshav. Bhakti Pragyan Keshav. How many times do we glorify him? Oh, he gave Prabhupada sannyas. No, he's a great pure devotee. I'm not making any offense towards this pure devotee. But we always say Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, right? Like this. So he may have taken sannyas in a Mayavad from a Mayavadi, but does not make him a Mayavadi, right? And what is the proof for this? What is the proof for this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's one pramana. Then anything else? Okay, Sanatana Goswami, like this we can say also. But what is the most absolutely demolishing evidence of Srila Sridhar Swami not being a Mayavadi?
He's like the devotional commentary in the Bible.
That's right. And coming a little closer. Okay. This is your Prabhupada's book. That's a good one. That's the one everyone thinks is going to get him. Dude, that's it. Get him. But no, that's not it. Okay, who read the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1 to Canto 12? Okay. So in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, what is chapter number 87? See? We already know. Prayers of the personified Vedas, right? And what's amazing is from verse number 14 to verse number 41, Srila Sridhar Swami, because all these 14 to 41 are the prayers of the Shrutis and all the different, the prayers of the personified Vedas, right? So, and each verse, where the Vedas are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Sridhar Swami gives his own prayer to Narasimha Dev on every one of these verses, from verses number 14 to verses number 41. And these prayers are amazing. All of them are amazing. All these verses from 14 to 41, each of them is very, very amazing. But I'd like to read out a few. And then if devotees are interested, you could pull it up on your phone. It's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 87, verse number, okay, you know what? Let's start off with verse number 23, okay? 10, 87, 23. Devotees are ready? Yeah? Okay. So now if you go to this verse, you go all the way to the end of the purport, right? All the way to the end of the purport. The devotees in BBT, Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu told me about this one actually. So yeah, so you see verse number 23, all the way in the end, it says, Srila Sridhar Swami concludes with this prayer. Sharana smaranam premna tava deva sudurlabam yata katanchid nihare mama bhuyad harnisham. O Lord, loving remembrance of your lotus feet is very rarely achieved. Please, O Nirhari, somehow arrange for me to have that remembrance day and night. Does this sound like a Mayavadi? Okay. So then, now look at the verse number 24, all the way in the end. in the commentary. Srila Sridhar Swami thus prays, Kwaham buddh yadi samrudaha Kwa cha bhuman mahastava dina bandho daya sindho bhakti me hari disha. Why am I a being entrapped by the material coverings of worldly intelligence and so on? What am I? Sorry, what am I? A being entrapped by material coverings of worldly intelligence and so on. And what are your glories by comparison? O Almighty One, O friend of the fallen, O ocean of mercy, Lord Nirhari, please bless me with your devotional service. Right? How often does a Mayavadi pray for devotional service? Then now go to verse number 29. It's very, very amazing. Where? Tvat ikshana vashak shobha maya bodhita karma bihi jatan sam sarata kinnan nrihari pahi nafpitaha. Oh Father, he's calling Narasimhadev as his father. Oh Father, oh Lord, appearing as half man, half lion, please save those who have been born into the endless cycle of birth and death. These souls are distressed by their karmic entanglement, which Maya awakened when your glance excited her to activity. So now, I just want to read a few more of these amazing prayers. Okay, please look at verse number 30. This is very amazing. I'll just read the English. In my heart, I take shelter of him who is glorified as the inner controller of all the worlds, and whom the Vedas ascertain in truth through logical reasoning. He is Narasimha, the omnipotent and omniscient Lord of the goddess of fortune. Right? And now let's look at, so now this one is my favorite. Verse number 35. Okay. These prayers are my favorite, and we can sing it together. This prayer, we can all sing it together. Did you go to verse number 35 all the way in the bottom of the purport? Did you go there? Yes? Ready? Everyone got it? So we can sing it in the Sadgoswami tune. Munchan anga tadanga sangamanisham tvam eva sanchintayan santa santi yato gadamadasthanashramanavasan Nityam tanmukha pankajad vigalita Vat punya gathamrita Shrota samplava sampluto narahare Nasyamaham deha brit. Now the translation is so amazing. My dear Lord, when will I give up all sense gratification and engage in meditating upon you? And when will I take up residence in Krishna life? No, when will I take up residence in the hermitages of saintly devotees, free from false pride? Then I will become fully immersed in the inundation of nectar pouring from the devotees' lotus mouth as they chant sacred narrations about you. And then, O Lord Narahari, I will never again have to take a material body. So amazing, huh? Such an amazing prayer. He's praying for this. He's praying for this. We have this. We are so fortunate. This is Sridhar Swami, the first commentator on the Srimad Bhagavatam. How much he loves Lord Narasimha. Okay. Now we'll look at another one, verse number 38. This is my second favorite prayer that he composed. Verse number 38. Okay. Again, we can sing this one too. Same tune. Okay. Everyone got it? Verse number 38? Yes? Yeah? Okay. Nrityanti tava vikshananganagata kala swabhavadibhi bhavan satvarajastamo gunamayan unmiliyanti bahu mama kramya padashirasyati bharam sammardhayantyaturam Mayate sharanam gatoshmi hare tvameva tam varaya. The glass you cast upon your consort comprises time, the material propensities of the living entities, and so on. This glance dances upon her face, thus awakening multitude of created entities who take birth in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Oh Lord Nirhari, now this is heavy, listen to this. Oh Lord Nirhari, your Maya has put her foot on my head and is pressing down extremely hard, causing me great distress. Now I have come to you for shelter. Please make her desist. So beautiful, such an amazing prayer. Sridhar Swami has composed these prayers. That's so amazing. How did we not know about this, right? It's so amazing. Gopi Parandan Prabhu did such an amazing job commenting upon this, actually. Gopi Parandan Prabhu, same devotee who commented on the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So amazing, so amazing. What an amazing verse, right? That Maya has kept her foot on our head and is pressing it so hard. We don't even realize. Maya Dugdha Jiva. We're crazy, actually. We're completely drowning in the ocean. Maya is squashing our head, and we're okay with it. We should go to the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more you feel your pride and false ego increasing, the more the weight of Maya's foot on your head is increasing. The only way to get out of it is Srinadapi Sunichena Taro Riva Sahishana. Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada. That's the only way of doing it. Right? And yesterday, a great devotee disappeared to remind us of this principle. Who's that great devotee? Right? And then, day before that, what happened? Yesterday was also the disappearance day of Jayananda Thakur. Right? Jayananda Thakur, a great devotee of the Supreme Lord, he disappeared on this day to remind us of this principle of the Nada Peace and Chain. Is so amazing. Preaching to myself, definitely. But we can see that the weight of Maya's foot is on our head and it's so heavy. We're getting squashed, getting completely squashed. So, anyway, what can I say? So we'll look at one more of these prayers by Sridhar Swami. They're very amazing. It's verse number 39. We can sing this one also. Same tune. Ready? Verse number 39. Yeah? Okay. Damba nyasa mishnena vanchita janam bhogaika chintaturam sammuhyantamahernisham virachito dyogaklam akulam Agyalanginam agnyamagya janata Sammanasanam madam Dinanata daya nidhana paramananda Prabhu pahimam. The hypocrite who cheats himself by a pretense of renunciation thinks only of sense enjoyment and suffers constantly. What's that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Yasvendriyani manasa. No, there's a verse before that. Ya aste manasaswaran indriyatan vimudatma mityacharasa uchyate. Guru Maharaj says, what's the use of learning verses when you can't remember them when you need it the most? Bewildered day and night, he's so overwhelmed by the exhausting endeavors he contrives for himself. This fool disobeys your laws and is corrupted by greed for respect from other fools. Heavy duty stuff. Tar pratishtha, shukare bhishta. The so-called false prestige we're chasing after is the stool of a hog. Another place, what does Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say? Pratishtha Chandali. This want of respect, you're a big fool and you're seeking respect from other fools. This want of respect is actually like a Chandali who's a prostitute, who's a dog eater, who's a witch, and you want to come and embrace her. Pratishtha Chandali Nirjanatana Jali Janiya Maya Maya Karorava. Janiya Jani Ho Maya Karorava. That know that with such a mentality, you're living in having a hellish mentality like that of the hell known as Raurava. O protector of the fallen, O bestower of mercy, O supremely blissful master, please save that person. And who's that person, he says, is myself. So what amazing prayers composed by Sridhar Swami. I read all 41 of these prayers and they are all amazing. They're all amazing. Each and every one of them is amazing. And this is very important for us actually. This chapter is very important for us. And you know what verse he starts off his commentary on this chapter with? Vagisha yasya vadane lakshmi yasya shivakshisi yasyasya hidaye samvitam narasimham aham bhaje. It's really amazing verse, right? But then there's another verse glorifying that also, and then Prahlada Hridaya Hladam also. Right? These are all verses composed by him. But there's another verse glorifying Sridhar Swami, which is spoken by Lord Shiva. Do you know what verse that is? If I tell you, remember it actually. Huh? No. Oh, sure. Yeah, you can say it. About that's for all Vaishnavas, right? But there's one very, very amazing thing. Very amazing thing. And you know where I read this verse first? Is in Patropadesh. It's in Patropadesh, volume 1. Right? This verse says, Aham Vedmi. So, you know this one now, right? Aham Vedmi, Shuko Vedmi, Vyasa Veti Naveti Va, Sridharam Sakalam Veti. Why? Sri Narasimha Prasadana. Right? That Lord Shiva is telling Parvati, she's asking him, who actually understands the Bhagavatam? Who actually understands the Bhagavatam? He says, I know, Shukadev Goswami, Aham Vedmi, Shuko Vedmi, Shukadev Goswami, you know. Vyasa may or may not know. I'm not saying this, Lord Shiva is saying this. Okay, I'm not saying this, okay? Lord Shiva is saying this. But then, Sridharam Sakalam Veti. Sridharam, for sure he knows. Sridharam Sakalam Veti. Why? Sri Narasimha Prasadana. By the mercy of Sri Narasimhadev Bhagavan, Sridhar Swami knows all the meanings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sridharam Sakalam Veti. For sure, Sridhara knows. Sridharam Sakalam Veti. Sri Narasimha Prasadana. And that's why Guru Maharaj was writing in that letter, he says, oh, you're suffering and all these things are happening to you. Then what you need to do is, in order to relieve all your suffering, Sri Narasimha Prasadana. Take the prasad of Lord Narasimhadev, and then all your miseries will go away. Sri Narasimha Prasadana. And Rishi Kumar Prabhu is very ecstatic because it's Ekadashi Prasadam from Narasimhadev. So Rishi is, it's his time to shine. Right? So, it's Sri Narasimha Prasadana. So by the mercy of Narasimha, we can overcome all kinds of suffering in this world. Sri Narasimha Prasadana. So, Srila Sridhar Swami, he is also glorified by another person. Who is that person? Who else glorifies Sridhar Swami? Come on. That's right, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? He glorifies Srila Sridhar Swami. And what does he say about him? This is very important for us to know this stuff, because we are celebrating Narasimha Chaturdashi, right? And we should know one of the greatest devotees of Lord Narasimha. Very amazing. It's an important point to learn. So, okay. I want to read one comment that Srila Prabhupada makes about Sridhar Swami. Is very beautiful. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 17, text number was a long purport. What's the verse number to this? 185, okay? Srila Prabhupada writes, a follower of Vishnu Swami's, Sridhar Swami was a follower of Vishnu Swami, by the way, was Sridhar Swami, the most well-known commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam. He was also a Mahajan. Right? So Srila Prabhupada says this. And Prabhupada says in another place that he was the first commentator of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So then, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this, Sridhar Swami Prasade Bhagavata Jani Jagat Guru Sridhar Swami Guru Karimani. Sridhar Swami is the spiritual master of the entire world, because by his mercy we can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. I therefore accept him as my spiritual master. Sridhara upare garve ye kichu likhibe artha vyasa likhana se loka namanibe. Whatever you might write due to false pride, trying to surpass Sridhar Swami, would carry a contrary purport. Therefore, no one would pay attention to it. What is one person called who is trying to be smarter than his guru? What's the word for them? Not Maryada. The Maryada Vratikrama is there, that's one thing. But there's a particular name for these people. Upstart, sure. But it's such a heavy anartha actually, that a whole Apasampradaya was started. Atibadi, that's right. Atibadis. Right? Why? Because they're fools who think they surpassed their guru. And Who was the actual founder of the Ativadi Sampradaya? Rupa Kaviraj. He was he was actually, you know who he was? I'm not going to like go too much into it, but who he was actually Shukracharya, who came to take his revenge on Lord Vishnu. He came to take his revenge on Lord Vamana by trying to destroy his sampradaya. And he was completely contaminating the sampradaya, saying you don't need to fast on Ekadashi. You don't need to follow like any like a vidhi, any vidhi mark, just jump directly to Raganuga mark. He made so many kinds of crazy concoctions, right? And it's not that this guy's saying some stupid stuff. No, this is Shukracharya, man. This is heavy duty stuff. Shukracharya. But then one of our acharyas is actually very well known for defeating him. And who is that? Huh? Not Madhvacharya, no. Come on, he appeared after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Huh? No, no. Good guess, sir. Last try. Starts with the V. That's right, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He wrote a whole treatise. Is it treatise or treatise? How do you say this word? Treatise. Okay, treatise.
I think we all just get.
Okay, I think we have a difference of opinion here. But anyway, he wrote, and okay, Janardhan is going to get us an authoritative answer. Right? So he wrote a very authoritative, very detailed refutation of this entire person's philosophy and then defeated him. Treatise. Okay. Treatise, right? So he wrote this treatise completely defeating Rupa Kaviraj. Right? But this is a very important thing to understand, that any commentary which is made, any commentary which is made against the orders of Srila Sridhar Swami, or anything against the orders of the Acharyas, they will have contrary effect. Right? That's why these days it is very fashionable to be anti-Prabhupada. It is very, very much fashionable. Hiranyakashipu has he's trying to destroy the movement again by having people write books blaspheming Srila Prabhupada, saying that if you read any statements in Srila Prabhupada's books and you feel offended by them, you should forgive Srila Prabhupada. Right? So such person should be kicked on the face with spiked boots, at the least. Right? That also, if they come to the South. Right? But South in America. Right? But such persons, they're the worst among Atibadi. They become more intelligent than the Acharya himself. Right? So on days like this, on days on Narasimha Chaturdashi, we hope that such foolish arguments are completely ripped apart to shreds by the mercy of Lord Narasimha Dev, giving us good intelligence to defeat this demoniac mentality. This is the greatest disease, and you can see that demons are actually running at least some section of the movement because they approve of this book. If you look in the back of the book, there's many big leaders saying, "What a fantastic book, yeah! Very good." The scientists and the scholars definitely approve of this book, right? And stuff like that. Oh, I said it in an Indian way. They hate Indians too, by the way. But they might say it in a really American way. Great job, bravo, buddy, or whatever, right? However they said it, right? But these people are writing these things about glorifying this book, which is completely bogus, actually. So we should understand that this is not a joke. This is a very serious thing, right? So when stuff like this happens, we take shelter of the Bhakti Vedanta Bhashya. We take shelter of the Bhakti Vedanta purpose. This is our life and soul, right? So you see, Srila Prabhupada in this purport, he's writing a very amazing thing. Prabhupada says, Srimad Bhagavatam has many tikas or commentaries following the parampara system. But Sridhar Swami's is first. Prabhupada is saying this right here. The commentaries of all the other acharyas follow his. The parampara system does not allow one to deviate from the commentaries of the previous acharyas. By depending upon previous acharyas, one can write beautiful commentaries, like the Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada. I think that book is amazing, phenomenal. Anyway, falling short of words to glorify that book. However, one cannot defy the previous acharyas. The false pride that look at this, heavy duty. The false pride that makes one think that he can write better than the previous acharyas will make one's comment faulty. At the present moment, sounds like right now, it has become fashionable for everyone to write in his own way, but such writing is never acceptable by serious devotees, by the way. I mean, those guys who don't eat karmic grains, follow the four-legged principles, and come to Mangalarti. Because of false pride, every scholar and philosopher wants to exhibit his learning by interpreting the Shastras, especially Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, in his own way. Can you imagine? Prabhupada is writing this. It's applicable even now, right now. This system of commenting in one's own way is fully condemned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, he says, Artha Vyasta Likhina say, commentaries written according to one's own philosophical way are never accepted. No one will appreciate such commentaries on the revealed scriptures. So it's an important point. That's why we keep Sridhar Swami first. All the commentaries follow him. And he is, what does Sanatana Goswami glorify him? What does he say? He says, Tan Vande Bhakti Eka Rakshakan, the sole person who saved Bhakti is Sridhar Swami, the great devotee of Lord Narasimha. So we can also pray to Lord Narasimha to please empower us to do our insignificant part in saving Bhakti, in this saving this movement. It's not that we are saving Prabhupada's movement. Prabhupada's movement is saving us, right? But Prabhupada is giving us an opportunity to do something useful, to do something. Anyways, it's going to happen. You cannot kill Sanatana Dharma because Sanatana Dharma is Sanatana. It's eternal. You can't kill something that's eternal. So similarly, these fools, they can attract Srila Prabhupada's movement, but it's completely useless, a futile attempt, actually. So we understand this point. It's very, very important, right? So Sridhar Swami is such a great personality. And we say, Hiranyakashipu, he's thinking in so many ways, oh, I am so great, I'm so powerful, I know everything, I'm such a great guy, right? He's saying like this, he's thinking like this. But unfortunately, he is so stupid that he does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead is way more powerful than him. He's a master of everyone. He's a master of everyone, right? So we see over here, now Hiranyakashipu is telling Prahlad, oh, most unfortunate Prahlad, who you have always described a supreme being other than me. He is fully convinced that he's the supreme. You have to understand how stupid this person is, that he got his boons from Lord Brahma. What does that mean? That Brahma is superior to him, right? At least that much, right? But no. A supreme being other than me, a supreme being who's above everything, who's a controller of everyone, and who is all pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? So some Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, they say that Hiranyakashipu was so mad with rage. This pillar that he had was actually his trophy pillar. His trophy pillar, right? What does this mean? You go and let's just say you go and you conquer Indra. You break Airavata's tusks. You take a piece of that tusk, put it on the pillar, label it. This is Airavata's tusk, right? Then you go and you defeat Varuna, and like you completely annihilate him, and then you tear a piece of his nooses, Varuna's nooses. Like this, he had a whole pillar. That's his trophy pillar, right? This is his trophy pillar. The greatest, like basically the biggest flex of all times, right? That he was trying to flex with this pillar, the biggest pillar ever, the greatest pillar ever. So he's asking this, because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall sever your head from your body. Now, let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. I want to see it. Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who was very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotee son Prahlad with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. Were those mangoes also offered? No. They're not ripe. I thought they were ripe. Okay. Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who was a very, very great in bodily strength, bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotee son Prahalad with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh, my dear Yudhishthir, this sound reached even the abodes of the demigods, like Lord Brahma. And when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planets are being destroyed. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu, who desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound, which had never before been heard. Upon hearing the sound, the other leaders of demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that assembly. And then Sanatana Goswami in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita makes a very amazing point that Lord Varaha, after he had killed Hiranyaksha and restored the earth in her rightful position, he went back and he was in the Garbhodak ocean and he was swimming. And then when it was time to appear out of the pillar, Lord Varaha entered the pillar and came out as Lord Narasimha. So we can also see by our practical experience the Lord Varaha's mercy. By his mercy, we have gotten water on this property. And he is also, now we can see just like how he entered the pillar and came out of as Lord Narasimha, we can hope that he'll also come. That when Narasimha come, we can always remember this beautiful pastime of Lord Varaha entering into this pillar and coming out as Lord Narasimha. Just to protect and give solace to his devotees. Right? Srila Sanatana Goswami also says there's actually 5 Varahas. There's 5 Varahas. Right? Well, the Shweta Varaha, it was mentioned in the Bhagavatam, lifted the earth and put her back. The second is Rakta Varaha. During the partial devastation, he picked up the earth and killed Hiranyakashipu and went to Swargaloka. Third is Yajna Varaha. He taught how to perform yajna. Fourth is the one he took the earth and made her even by grinding down the mountains. This Lord Varaha, who entered the pillar, he took the earth and started grinding down her mountains and made her even. The earth, the name was not given. I can do more research. I'm going to read this out again for your pleasure, Prabhu. Lord Varaha took the earth and made her even by grinding down the mountains. The earth was known as Varahi. He was still here and then merged in the form of Narasimha in Simhachalam. Varaha Narasimha went into this pillar and came out as Narasimha. And the fifth one, he holds up the earth as Varaha Dev Dharani Dhara. Then he holds up the earth. So we say that this Lord Varaha was digging the earth. Actually, he was digging the earth, and then when his goal was accomplished, he became Varaha Narasimha in Simhachalam. And when it's time for him to appear, he merged into the pillar and came out as Narasimhadev. So it's very amazing that Lord Varaha was digging the earth with his mercy. It ain't over till it's over, right? So, to prove that the statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even in the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never seen before. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. While Hiranyakashipu looked around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either a man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In that amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature, half man and half lion? Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Narasimhadev standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold, his shining mane, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, and his razor sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless. His nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions and he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conchal, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made his plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into the fire, the insignificant creature becomes invisible. When Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated it with his spiritual effulgence. Thereafter, the great demon, Hiranyakashipu, who was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Narasimhadev with his club and began to beat him. Lord Narasimhadev, however, captured the great demon with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. O Yudhishthir, O great son of Bharata, when Lord Narasimhadev gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets it slip from the mouth, the demigods who had lost their abodes and who were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon did not consider the incident very good. Indeed, they became very perturbed. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Narasimhadev, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with great force. Making a loud, shrill laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who was extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu sometimes moved in the sky and sometimes on the earth. His eyes closed because of fear of Narasimhadev's laughter. Finally, he's afraid. As a snake captures a mouse or as Garuda captures a venomous snake, Lord Narasimhadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here and there and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Narasimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supported with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Lord Narasimhadev's mouth was sprinkled and mane was sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that has just killed an elephant. So Shri Narasimha Chaturdashi Mahamahotsaha ki jai. Shrimati Bhagwan ki jai. Taking over the world with Shri Prabhupada, Sense and Book Distribution, Daivan Ashram Farm Communities ki jai. Vancha Kalpatarabhisha.